Hello, everybody, and welcome. NFL Week 1 getting going, the closing line here from SBR Sports Picks. I'm your host, the big man on campus. I'll be with you over the next 16 weeks, 17 weeks, whatever it is. I'm here live. Donnie Rightside. We'll have plenty of guests throughout the season as well. It's NFL Week 1. The day is here, people. Everybody looks forward to the NFL season getting going, and we get it going today in style. It's a cold 55-degree day here on the East Coast. Weather is a problem. We'll take a look at where that's affecting and who that's affecting here over the next hour. So sit back and strap up and let's have some fun. We bring in our co-host, Donnie Rightside. Donnie Rightside, how you doing?
Doing good. Hey, man, welcome into the chamber. We'll be here for, again, Jeff said, I guess it's 17 weeks plus maybe some playoff action. One of the most important shows of the week that we do. The Christmas tree lights up. If you know what that means, just looking at the odds board right now, Jeff, it's going crazy left and right. The thing I like about the early weeks of the season too, Jeff, no bye weeks. It's a full card out there that we can mix, match, and go over throughout the season. We'll have some guests on today from The Score. We have Alex Kaloje joining us at around 12:20 Eastern time here to go over a couple football games that he has some interest in. But overall, Jeff, this is an informational show. We're going to go up and down that card. It is predicated on the chat box, as you well know. Come in, chime in, who you like, who you dislike. If you have some salient points to make, put them up in the chat box. Let's see if we can win some money, have some fun here. Week 1 NFL, Jeff, it's here. Let's go for the long haul.
All about salient points. Make sure you throw those out at any point during the show. We'll try to get to them. Hit the retweet button. Let everyone know this show is on the air. A lot of people already know, but listen, there's a lot of shit shows out there. This is going to be one of the better ones. Make sure you hit the like button, you retweet the show, let everyone know that you enjoy this show and you like having fun here every Sunday or Saturday, whenever you join us. Donnie, I do want to tell everyone about the Beat the Prick contest at SBRcontest.com. You can also go to beattheprick.com. That's BEAT, the PRICK.com. Beat the Prick, a free contest that you can join by being on the SBR forum and on SBR contest. $50,000 contest. It's the 14th season of the Beat the Prick. Now, Donnie, I'm in Beat the Prick. It's a contest basically where you pick 5 games, either against the spread, totals. You could do NFL, you could do college, you can mix it up, you can really do anything you want. Basically, all you have to do is beat the prick. You have to have a better score over the season than the prick. First place, $10,000. Listen, I would join it. I'm in it right now. It's a fun contest. You can kind of, get some bragging rights. Look, if you win this contest, you'll be the king of SBR. It's just the truth. Prick had a good day yesterday, though. Donnie, unfortunately, he goes 4-1. How about that? On his best bets, 4-1. He also went he went 3-1 in week 1. And went 1-0 in the week, the day before. So he's up 3.85 units. So a nice start for the prick, but I'm sure that won't last. But Donnie, let's get into the show. Head out SBRcontest.com to join Beat the Prick today. We welcome all of the listeners in. A lot of people here already, pushing 200 people. Let's get that up to 500, 600, 800. Let's keep it going. Let's start it out, Donnie. In Cleveland, the dreaded Browns start yet another season. They've won 1 game over the last 2 seasons. Hugh Jackson on the chopping block, but the king of hard knocks is back, Donnie. This team obviously in the news. They go out and make the trade, bring in Baker Mayfield. They go out and bring in Jarvis Landry, all sorts of reinforcements offensively. But you look at this line, Donnie, 3.5, total 41. Pittsburgh, obviously, no Le'Veon Bell. We all know that. Le'Veon Bell missing out on a lot of money. But again, trying to prove a point. You still have Antonio Brown. You still have James Conner, who I think is a pretty good running back, let's say. You still have, obviously, Big Ben Roethlisberger. This Pittsburgh team, a team that generally are pretty good against them. But you look at Cleveland. I mean, Donnie, let's just detail how bad this team is against them. Now, keep in mind, this is a team that sharps bet every week. We should call them Schraps, not Sharps. They're Schraps. Listen, Donnie. Over the last 31 games, Cleveland 7-24 against the number. They failed to cover in 12 of 15 at home, and they're 2-9 against conference opponents over the last 11 against the number. Why should I back Cleveland today, Donnie? I mean, what changes here? I mean, this is a team in hard knock. I always try to fade those teams. I think early on it's too much of a distraction. There are a lot of distractions with Cleveland. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, there are still some distractions now with Pittsburgh that we're looking at. Obviously, with Le'Veon Bell out, you have some discord with the offensive line, not happy with Le'Veon Bell, but they do have a pretty good running back behind him, Jeff James Conner's going to take the field today. It is some rainy conditions. Looking right now on the monitors that I have up, but it doesn't look that bad right now. Maybe it deteriorates as the game moves on. Each game, we're going to try to nitpick maybe an area that you might be able to get some value on. We've seen this line, Jeff. What did it open up? Maybe 46, 46 and a half, and now down into the low 40s at this point here. Let me just take a look at a first half, or excuse me, a full game number. Looks like 41. Jeff, even 5 dimes having 40 and a half right now. The one thing before you even get into the game, where do you try to find some value when that line drops down? How about, as we know with football, look, they're tarped the whole field. It's not going to get all that massive rain that it got overnight, so the field should start out in some pretty good conditions. Sometimes as the day goes on, if the rain is bad, which looks like it might even be heavier as the afternoon goes on, where that field deteriorates. Maybe, Jeff, you get a little bit of leverage there in the first half because now you're looking at an over-under of 20 points. That's 3 touchdowns coming out, maybe some interception, maybe some balls get tipped out there, but the field should be in pretty good shape for at least the first half. With that line coming down, it's no longer you have to cover over 3 touchdowns, now under 3 touchdowns, maybe something to take a look at. But you're right. Looking up there now, Jeff, full game wagers here. If we're taking a look at Pittsburgh, -3, -3.5, -3, and even tipped a few moments ago. I believe a 2.5 was out there momentarily, but not anymore. But you could have had this over the summer, Jeff. 7, 7.5, and that line continuously goes down lower. Now, the difference in it, why would it go lower? Just because Le'Veon Bell is out? He's a fantastic player, but not a 4-point swing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I think, and this has been so important this weekend in weather, just because it has affected college. It's going to affect the NFL. The interesting thing about this is it's late summer. Temperatures are changing a little bit. Generally, Donnie, late in the summer, even middle of the summer, you have pop-up thunderstorms. They happen all the time. They're very scattered. You don't know when they're going to come. They don't last very long. This is a driving rain. This is a rain for a long period of time. There's a big weather system, kind of in the Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland area. This is heavy rain. It's going to rain throughout this game. They're lucky this game, Donnie, is in Pittsburgh because they're getting heavy rain right now. I'm talking about yellows and oranges on the radar, Donnie. It's heavy stuff. Up in Cleveland, it's just more of a steady band of rain. You're going to have rain all game here. 41, a low total. You have 2 teams that I think have, they're always very good on defense. One thing you'd say about the Browns, they've been pretty good on defense. They have a strong defensive line. This weather could be a problem. For me, it's a tough game. I think the Steelers are the play at the end of the day, though. I think a lot of people are buying into Cleveland. When at the end of the day, they're Cleveland. This isn't your prototypical week 1 game. It's not nice and sunny, and you got all the fans. It's going to be raw and rough there. For me, I'm leaning Pittsburgh in this one. I just think they have much more talent. And I can't bet on Cleveland. I'm sorry. The numbers come down for a reason. People like this Browns team. Generally, Donnie, what happens when you back a public dog?
Yeah, usually doesn't end up that well. And again, you're basically asking Jeff Cleveland to win this football game, to come out and beat the Steelers, which is something they haven't done since very well at all since 1999. And yes, Le'Veon Bell is out of the football game, but there's a lot of surrounding pieces out there that are still very good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's one of those things where you take the wait and see approach. Until I see Cleveland can actually get off the ground and play good football, I'm always going to lean on the Steelers. You're not even laying a touchdown anymore. You're basically laying a field goal saying I'm going to go against the Browns. Now, we do preface it by saying, Jeff, weather is the great equalizer out there, which you did see in college, but the pros handle the weather much, much more. There's going to be less drops out there, less fumbles, less, snaps that don't even get off the ground that are caused by fumbles right away. So I don't think the weather is going to be too big of an indicator in this one. But again, I'm just watching from pregame stuff right now. They're warming up out there. It doesn't look all that bad.
I'll tell you right now, and I'm seeing Will Capper make this comment as well. The wind is going to get worse as this game goes on. I mean, you look at it to start about 18 miles an hour. By 4 o'clock, I mean, you're looking at mid-20s wind-wise. I mean, I think the weather is going to get worse as the game goes on. For us, I don't think either of us are in love with this one. I'm seeing it drop to 3, Donna. You seeing that with this game?
Yeah, I got 5 times -3, -120. So, I mean, that is playing an indicator, which is why we led off the conversation with the Browns, or maybe look at a total first half. While the weather is decent and the field conditions are good, maybe that's advantageous to scoring. Maybe it does come down in buckets, Jeff, in the second half, and we've seen quagmires out there.
At 3 points, I'm buying on the Steelers. That's a buy sign for me. 455, 456. Minnesota hosting the Niners. This one will be nice and warm and nice and clear.
Cozy.
A dome stadium. You got the 46 on a total. Minnesota under that touchdown, Donnie. They've been kind of around 6.5. It's never, I don't think it even went to 7 at any point. Look, you look at the Niners. Obviously, if you know me, you know I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm a big fan of his. But listen, here's all I need to know about Minnesota, okay? Mike Zimmer's a terrific against the spread coach. They're 12-4 over the last 16 at home. They just cover numbers, Donnie. That's what Minnesota does. And I look at Garoppolo and I say to myself, you look at the late season last year. I mean, beating bad teams, putting up a lot of points against bad football teams. You got to go on the road in your first game against arguably, Donnie, the toughest defense in the league, or one of the toughest in the league. You have a new quarterback up there in Minnesota in Cousins. You have Dalvin Cook back finally. You have 2 high-level receivers in Thielen and Diggs. I like this Minnesota team. Obviously, I don't know how good they are long-term. I think they're a playoff team, surely. This team at home last year gave up 14 points a game to opposing offenses. I wonder how good San Francisco is. I think a lot of hype is around them. I love Garoppolo, but I'm just saying, Donnie, I worry about this team. I don't know how much talent there really is. I thought they should have addressed the skill position players a bit more. I wonder how good their pass rush is. I lead Minnesota here on the sole fact that they're at home. I think they have the much better team. It's under a touchdown. I think it's like a 24-14, 27-14 type of game. I like the Vikings here at home.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more high scoring there because I think Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, Jeff, are going to have the ability to move the football because I don't think they're going to be able to move it that well in the ground. So if you're going to be throwing the ball, it's going to be a lot of incomplete or more incomplete passes, I should say, and that's going to stop the clock to give you more advantageous plays. Minnesota plays really well at home, Jeff. Mike Zimmer is a great head football coach and an even better defensive coordinator on top of it. We talked about it much through the week because you think Minnesota can win this game. I mean, I obviously think they can win the football game, and I think they can win and get the cover here. But I'm looking more long-term on this game for the 49ers, Jeff. Not so much week 1 because I think most people expect the 49ers to lose. Get this, Jeff. The 49ers go in here against the Minnesota Vikings and pull out a victory, game 1 on the road versus one of the perennial NFC powers that we're looking to possibly get to the Super Bowl this year. That's going to send a little bit of shockwaves out there, especially in the NFC West. But I'm looking here for more of an established game plan by Minnesota. I think they upgraded a quarterback. You're right. They have 2 very good wide receivers. Offensive line, I mean, say what you want about it, but now you're going to get Dalvin Cook back. You have a solid running game, and you have one of the best defenses in NFL and one of the best defensive coordinators who's had 6, 7, 8 months, Jeff, to get ready for Jimmy Garoppolo's offense. And let's not forget where the game's played at, Jeff. You're not going to play this at home where the faithful are out there out in San Francisco and you get the nice sunny weather. You're going to be in a dome. You're not going to be able to hear the snap count in there. So get ready for a barrage. And look at this, Jeff, as we take a look right now. Not too much of a ticket split there, 55% to 45% in the favor of the Minnesota Vikings, but you're getting some movement back now, Jeff. Intertops -6, Pinnacle -6. So that number's sliding even off of that 6.5 down to 6. I understand it's nice to lean on points early in the season. I just wish the San Francisco 49ers weren't in this environment early, Jeff. I'll lean Minnesota Vikings here.
Yeah, it's a real tough spot for them. It just is. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd like to, real quick, Donnie, a minute here. I just want to ask you, you look at this depth chart. I get, like, you have some weapons. You like guys like Goodwin and players like that, but I don't love these position players. I don't know how good this running game is. I mean, Donnie, your starting running back is Matt Breida. I mean, look, he was good at Georgia Southern, but I mean, I don't really like this run game. The receivers are okay, I guess. I mean, you have some young talent there. Maybe a guy like Pettis can come in and give you something in the slot, or Garcon's always been a decent player, but I don't love these weapons. I would have attacked a Calvin Ridley in the draft, a Cortland Sutton. I don't like these weapons. I just don't. I wonder how good this offense can be. Garoppolo is good, but they have a ton of talent on this roster.
No, yeah, they're a work in process, Jeff. I think you want to see how the 49ers go this year and add talent because they will in the offseason. They're going to have a ton of money to spend. But you're right, this team would have looked a lot better, Jeff, if you had, let's just say, Carlos Hyde and Jerick McKinnon on your team. Obviously, one is hurt, one left via free agency. That would have been a lot better. But you're right. When you look at Matt Breida, Jeff, it's not so much the talent. Can Matt Breida run the ball? Yeah, he's going to be able to run the football. But how do you pick up those blitzes that Minnesota's going to bring off the edge? You're trusting Matt Breida out there with some, sophisticated maybe zone blitz or, heavy up on one downside. All it takes is one missed block and your quarterback goes down, fumble, or even worse, an injury on the season. I just think it's a really tough spot for the 49ers. But I can't wait to watch the game because I want to see Jimmy Garoppolo in this environment, Jeff. We saw him go 5-0 down the stretch. Say what you want about the scheduling that was down the stretch or who they beat. Yeah, I mean, they beat some big-name teams, but some big-name teams in some look-ahead spots and also resting some players a la Week 17 versus the Los Angeles Rams. But coming into this game, this is a major test. That crowd is going to be loud, and I just don't think they're going to hold up. As I saw Guan White, or I think it's Guan White in the chat box, said, this is a pretty complete team out there, man. It really is.
No, you're totally right. Let's move on. Giants and Jags. What an interesting game this will be. Jags 3, total 42.5 at most books. You talk about another game. Weather is going to be a major issue up at the Meadowlands. It is cool. It is raw. It is rainy. It is going to rain this entire game. It's going to rain throughout tomorrow as well. I mean, this is a big system, Donnie. A lot of rain here. Wind is getting to be a bit of a problem. You got coastal flood advisories. You got flood advisories everywhere. I said before, Donnie, I said in the middle of the week, I think this is a tough matchup for the Giants, but I also think it's a bit of a tougher matchup for the Jags as well. I think both these offenses are going to struggle a bit to move the ball. You look at, Donnie, where the NFL's won. We've talked about this time and time again. I just don't think this is a good matchup for the Giants' lines, the offensive line and the defensive lines. There's not a ton of talent there. I know there's talent on the left side for the Giants in Hernandez and Solder, but I'm worried about the right side. That Jags defensive line is nasty. They're very good on the defensive end. I just wonder how difficult it is to move the ball in these kind of conditions for two offenses that, again, aren't particularly great as it is. The Giants have a lot of star power, but the Jags have a pretty damn good defense. You look at up and down that roster. I mean, where do you start on that line? I think this is a low-scoring game. I think 42.5. I'm looking under the number in this game. And really, it doesn't – I mean, the weather's it's nice. I'm obviously – it helps. But I think even in clear weather, I think both these offenses would be a bit bogged down. I'm looking towards low points here, Donnie.
Yeah, you would think so. But you know what's interesting, Jeff? I'm about 90 miles from the stadium here. KG checks in there. It's raining pretty good right now, guys. I'm not far from the Meadowlands, but I'm watching the live warm-ups there. There's no rain at the actual game yet. So you're wondering if it comes through. If you're a baseball bettor out there, right across the river over in Flushing, the Phillies and the Mets aren't supposed to get rain. And the Meadowlands, if you're looking at some of the things, cloudy, overcast, how much rain are they going to get? Because if this game was played in Philadelphia, it would be played in a deluge of rain over the past couple of days and still raining today. That's going to be interesting to see. But you're right, Jeff. It is one on the line of scrimmage. Now, here's the problem I have here from the Giants' defensive side. You're down JPP, obviously going down in a trade to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're also down Olivier Vernon, your best overall pass rusher. When you're down pass rushers in the NFL, that doesn't bode well. I like the mauling style of the Jacksonville Jaguars on an offense. I think they're going to keep Blake Bortles in third and short situations, get him rolling out of the pocket. But again, I don't think the Giants are going to get enough pressure, which is what you want on Blake Bortles. You want to force him into the mistakes. You saw the way he played last year against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills played very good defense in the playoffs, forced him out of the pocket, and you had a little bit of wind in the forecast last year in the playoff game. He looked horrific. He can look horrific today. Their wide receivers aren't that great. There's no Allen Robinson this year, even though I know he got injured week 1 last year, but no big name guys that can have those quote unquote bailout plays for the Jaguars. But this game squarely is upon Eli Manning and his ability to protect the football, what Pat Shermer is going to have to offer out there. I'm still going to lean on the Jaguars. Give me the kick-ass defense against the maybe not so good offensive line. And the way to force Blake Bortles into mistakes is get pressure on him. I'm not sure, Jeff, the Giants can do that today.
No, me either. And that's my big problem in this game. You make a good point. No Vernon. You lose JPP. They have a great secondary, but, if you can run the football, if you can kind of get downhill running on them, you'll have some success. I just think both offenses definitely bogged down. I see under. You're getting under that 6 touchdown mark, which is nice. I'll go under 42.5 for this one. I'm leaning that way in Giants and Jags. Let's bring in our first guest of the season, Donnie. He's a guy that I got to tell you, okay, I haven't had a lot of interaction with the guy, but he's been on Twitter a long time. I know that. He's been on longer, I think, maybe even close to you than you and I have been on. He's from The Score. His name is Alex Kolojai. Alex, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Doing well.
No, doing good. Yeah, by the way, me and Alex, Jeff, if you haven't known, go back a long time. So, I'm a little bit older. Same way with you, Jeff, but he's actually, I believe, a little bit younger than you still. I consider him a son in this game. And the best part about it, Jeff, is I say, you know what? I want to bring you on to this show because we want to break down and talk some football games. And just like in my man Alex's fashion, Jeff, he doesn't go for I want to talk about the Bears and the Packers, or I want to talk about the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. My man goes after Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Buffalo and Baltimore, Jeff. That's how you like it. Get nitty gritty in the redheaded stepchild games. He's going to get after it.
Well, listen, I mean, I love small market college basketball, small market college football. I mean, there's nothing, Donnie. I mean, I talk about fucking San Marino fucking soccer. I mean, I don't care. I mean, and I like his style as he comes in here. Alex, we're going to start it off with you. 457, 458. Indianapolis Colts -1, hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Marvin Lewis, who seems, I mean, Donnie, who's older at this point, Marvin Lewis or Bill Snyder? I mean, it seems like these two have been at it for a long time. But, you know, Alex, I talked to Donnie about this one. This smells to me, this game. You look at and ask yourself, why have the Colts been a favorite all week? But then the number comes down significantly. You're almost at a pick 'em at this point. I got to hear your opinion on this one. Colts, Bengals, what do you like here?
Yeah, obviously with week one, it's a little tougher, especially, in any sport starting off. It's tough to model and it's tough to find an edge, especially in NFL where it's probably the toughest to find an edge. So you're going off a lot of the paper tests. You're going off a lot of what happened last year. You're trying to plug players in and see where the value's at. I like the total in this one. And actually, I booked this over at 47 about 4 weeks ago. It got up to about 48.5. It's dropped to 47.5 in some offshores and some Vegas places. But I think this Bengals offense is a unit for a while now that has just been waiting to explode. And you look at what they have piece-wise on the offense. I mean, Andy Dalton, he's not a quote-unquote winner, but he is a guy that can put up points with what he has around him. You have A.J. Green. It just comes down to, can he get a healthy Tyler Eifert? Can he get a healthy John Ross? I'm still not counting out Tyler Boyd to make an impact in that offense. And then, you haven't even mentioned Joe Mixon in that. And then on the Colts side, obviously with Luck coming back in Frank Reich's offense, a lot of no huddle, a lot of up tempo. You could expect them to be throwing the ball a lot. I know that there's not a lot around there aside from T.Y. Hilton, but you have a guy in Andrew Luck who gets the most out of his supporting cast. And I just look at this game and I think with the Colts secondary and playing from behind, and then that new offense with Wright coming over from Philadelphia and what he did with the RPO-based scheme with Nick Foles and then Carson Wentz, that this one can have a plenty of scoring opportunities. So actually, I like the over in this game at 47. It's a little square and whatnot, but I'm really surprised to see this number where it's at. Super intrigued to see how Andrew Luck comes out and see how they get him right into the thick of things. He obviously hasn't played since week 17 of 2016. So if all goes well and if he's healthy, I don't see how there aren't plenty of scoring opportunities in this one.
Alex, quick question on this game, too, as we take a look. Intertop's now actually posting a -1 in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. So that line opened up, give or take 2.5, 3 when it first came out. Now swinging at some outlets completely in the Bengals' direction. We did see Marlon Mack that is going to miss this game. He is on the inactive list. I was of the proponent, Alex, that I didn't know if they would let Luck go out there and actually pull the ripcord, so to speak, and throw 30 to 35 times to 40 times in this game. But now looking at it, you have limited weapons out there. We know T.Y. Hilton. What type of offense do you think Frank Wright is going to bring to this game and try to push the envelope maybe schematically to get after the Browns? Because I don't know what I'm getting out of Andrew Luck. All reports indicate, obviously he had that whole shoulder injury, comes out today, even compounded it with a snowboarding accident, which was interesting how they were able to keep that locked down for so long. But talk about Frank Reich and maybe Andrew Luck. How can they expose that Cincinnati team today to possibly get over that 47.5?
Well, we saw how Reich implemented it with Foles last year, and that's Nick Foles. Sorry, Donnie, I know you're a Philly guy. I don't mean to bash your team, but you do have a guy in Andrew Luck now, and this kind of just goes back to what I'm saying here in terms of the supporting cast he has around him. And if Marlon Mack isn't healthy, I didn't expect Indianapolis to be running the ball all that much anyway, especially if they're going to give Luck a longer leash. But the way I look at this Indianapolis team and how it's built is you have a terrible secondary and you have a franchise quarterback under center who, if he's healthy, can do what guys like Aaron Rodgers does and get the most out of guys who aren't stars. You look at outside of T.Y. Hilton and you look at who's on that receiving corps when you have guys like Chester Rogers at wide receiver and you got Jack Doyle. I know they had Deion Kane. We're expecting big things from him. He'll be out for the season. But the way I look at this game, if Cincinnati, this comes down to the Bengals offense, and this is a team that I've been pumping up for about a year and a half now, waiting for them to explode. And I think for Cincinnati, this is just such a nice tone setter for them to get a Colts secondary that's pretty much Malik Hooker, and then everybody else. You have replacement level players in the secondary. So I'm banking on the Bengals to score and forcing the issue to Indianapolis to push the tempo and to get throwing. I don't see Indianapolis running the ball anyway.
This one stinks to high heaven to me. I'm sorry. I can't because Donnie, does this not just look like one of those 80% of the money on it? Whole world loves Cincinnati.
No, Brett, Jeff, you're exactly right, because when you look at the game, you're saying, all right, let me hold on. Like last year, like the Indy was in a lot of football games without their best player, which is usually your quarterback. So now you're going to say, all right, what's changed here? Marvin Lewis going on the road is now a road favorite to open the season. I hear you, big man.
Yeah, it's just weird. And you also look at the fact of a name we didn't hear, Anthony Costanzo, out as well, left tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, you have a team all of a sudden. I mean, we always know Cincinnati always very good up front. That could be trouble for Andrew Luck, who maybe should Andrew Luck snowboarding. He doesn't seem like a snowboarder.
He does not look like a snowboarder.
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. Alex Koloje joining us, and you know what, Alex? I found it funny that Donnie made it a point to tell me how to pronounce your name. Like I'm not.
I still don't get it right. I had to do one of those pauses where you go into and you see his name, you just pray it comes out of your mouth, right? Donnie, so yeah, that's me.
Donnie, I was sold that Alex was an Albanian, because in Albania a lot of names end with J. So I know that's I. It's not J. It's I. It's like EYE.
You're not the first, Jeff. I actually had somebody come into my direct messages a couple weeks ago, asked me if I was Iranian, and I said no. I'm actually half Greek, half Polish. Yeah. But not a bad attempt, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We move on to another riveting game here that Alex wants to talk about. 459, 460. Listen, every game's important.
I love it. You go ahead,
every game's important. Ravens 7.5 against the Buffalo Bills. Bills and Ravens 38.5 in a total. Another game, Alex, where weather will be a bit of a factor. I mean, you got a lot of rain up and down the Mid-Atlantic, Delmarva area. I got to ask you, what do you like here? I mean, this is obviously a Bills team that I pegged to be pretty poor. I'm not sure what the hell you're going to get out of Nate Peterman. I think one thing we know is it's probably not going to be much in the way of anything good. You have limited skill position talent. McCoy, a good player, but how long are we going to even see this guy? He could have some off the field problems. Defensively, they're pretty good. Ravens have improved significantly, more receivers. Joe Flacco really has no excuses now. What do you like here?
Yeah, I like how you mentioned, Jeff, and I'm gonna piggyback right off of what you said about you don't know what you're gonna get in Nate Peterman, and the answer to that, and pretty much the reason that I'm taking the over in this game is volatility, and it's not breaking new ground to say that the Buffalo Bills offense is going to struggle in 2017 or 2018 rather. I mean, you look at what they had with Tyrod Taylor last year, who I think is a very serviceable quarterback, still struggled last season. The skill corps, not very explosive. Calvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, you have Jeremy Curley. Like that receiving corps shouldn't scare you. Charles Clay, I think, is more of a byproduct of what you had in Tyrod Taylor. He was his favorite target. LaShawn McCoy is going to pick up his yards. It's a little bit of playing with fire here. I don't ever want to base the game off of hoping for turnovers or hoping for a team to stall on their own field or on their own end of the field and setting up the opposing offense with better field position. But I'm taking a shot here with Peterman as a wild card, because you just do not know what you're going to get with this guy. I mean, you're talking about a kid who threw 5 interceptions in his debut. I mean, and this quarterback room in general, when you talk about Josh Allen too, and how the critics have come in on him and don't know what he's going to be. But I am taking this over at a low number. Obviously, I got a terrible number just for credibility's sake. I got it at 40.5, and I didn't hate it. It actually moved down from 42.5 to 40.5. I thought I got a good number on that with the weather and everything. It has moved down to 38.5, and I will add a little bit more onto it. But I think when you look at Baltimore too, last season, you talk about the poor teams in the NFL last season with the Jets and the Buccaneers. Baltimore to me was the biggest eyesore on offense. Joe Flacco, I mean, this team wasn't even fun. 5.7 yards per attempt. He had corpse literal corpses in the receiving corps, no pun intended, with Macklin and Mike Wallace and something named a Brashad Perriman, who I think they were waiting for a breakout for his 7th straight season. And all those guys are gone. And now you get John Brown and Willie Snead, Michael Crabtree. And I'm not saying that that's a monster upgrade, but it is something. And, obviously there was something there that Baltimore needed to fix, and they literally retooled the entire wide receiving corps. And then I know obviously Hayden Hurst is hurt. We got Mark Andrews. The tight end game, obviously, I think will be working as well. Alex Collins in the backfield. So I'm taking a shot here on a low number. And honestly, I'm banking on Nathan Peterman to pull some stuff that's going to either help us get into the other side of the 50, or just to take shots and prove everybody wrong. And then, again, I should mention, too, on Baltimore's side, without Jimmy Smith, I think when you look at their defensive splits last year, with him, without him, were night and day. So I'm taking a shot here on the low number. Obviously, it's like I said, and Donnie mentioned it too, it's a smaller game. It's not getting a lot of attention. And this was one that was staring me right in the face. So I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in this Buffalo game, the one interesting thing that I was getting caught up in, like, a lot of people were expecting, like, I always think the rookie quarterback should give it a go. Like Josh Allen, just let him go out there, let him sink or swim. But the one thing I found interesting is, too, if you're betting the Buffalo Bills in this game, or you're looking at a total, you want Nathan Peterman in the game, because you know what that means? The expanded playbook is going to be in play. If they went out there with Josh Allen, they would have handed the ball 35 times to Shady McCoy in the backfield, just so the kid got a taste of action out there. But now you have more of a playbook out there. And you're right, one of those great gifts last year, the football season, was the 5 interceptions if you had the Chargers in that football game, which I did. But I like where you're going with this one, because you're getting value. And keep in mind, folks, this game is not going to be played on grass. It's on turf. It's going to drain well. And you do have a revamped receiving core, and, see what Joe Flacco comes out with. But the fact that if you're going to lean on a total, it's so much better to have Nathan Peterman in here, Alex.
Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to rely on volatility and variance. I could be rooting for 4 turnovers and they could all come in the red zone. That's just kind of how it plays out. And so I don't necessarily recommend that for a capping tool. But the way I look at Nate Peterman, I think you hit it right on the head, Donnie. An expanded playbook, you have more of a wild card, and it's already. You don't need a track meet in this game. 38.5, even 40.5, the number that I originally got it at. You don't need 2 touchdowns a quarter. So I think with the retooling on the roster on both offenses, new receiving corps, Nathan Peterman, obviously, I think Joe Flacco, I don't think he could have as bad as a year as he did last season, when he averaged less than 6 yards per attempt. So, like I said, yeah, I'm taking a shot on this one at the low number.
A Mark Andrews reference. I always like to hear about Mark Andrews.
Sooner, baby.
Yeah, very wide, very tight end you down in Baltimore. Very Todd Heapish. They always, they always do well with tight ends down in Baltimore. But great stuff, Alex. Let us know where we can find you. I know you're on the Score app. I remember I have the Score app on my own phone.
I have it too.
An app I have used for many years. Where can we find you, Alex? And what do you have going on over there?
You guys can obviously find me on Twitter at Alex Kaloje, just basically first name and last name. And then at the Score app, download the app. We'll be doing a lot of college and NFL previews. I do tomorrow we'll be starting a Monday betting diary. It's just basically a time-stamped format of how my day looks like and what goes through my mind as I drink coffee through a straw and do endless amounts of and then obviously, Score app, Saturdays, Sundays, we'll have a ton of coverage. So check that out and follow me on Twitter. And then obviously, thank you guys for having me.
Lot of NFL talk over at the Score. Alex Kaloje is the man behind that. Follow him on Twitter. We'll put that in the chat. Alex, great stuff, man. We'll talk to you again real soon. Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Have a good day and have an exciting first Sunday of NFL.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Great stuff there, Donnie, from your boy Alex Kaloje. You can find him on the Score. Donnie, good to hear that Frank Rizzo's in the chat. The old mayor of Philadelphia, Frank Rizzo, a long-standing public enemy number 1 in Philadelphia. But it's nice to see, Donnie, Frank Rizzo in here.
That's right. Hey, Frank Rizzo out there, cracking skulls out there with the nightsticks. City was, didn't agree with the practices maybe with the city of Philadelphia. It was much safer back in the day under Frank Rizzo, but good to see him alive and well, Jeff. Thought he had passed on.
Yeah, he also is known for calling a reporter crumb bums when they threw up on him in the street. Wild individual. But Donnie, let's move on to
Yes,
more games. Some great
let's do it.
opinions there from Alex. Real quick, as we kind of wrap up those two games, I mean, any any glaring play you liked in those two? I mean, I kind of like. I just being honest. I just this Cincy Indy game stinks to me. Probably won't be a game I pull the trigger on, but I've seen this story before in the NFL. This one just looks too good to be true. At home, I mean, there's nothing that say I want to back the Colts here. Yet the one thing that makes sense to me is the line, and it looks like a Colts line, Donnie.
No, yeah, but it actually doesn't look like a Colts line anymore. The Colts line I liked was the -3. What's that?
Not anymore. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, but I don't understand. In the NFL, Jeff, I've built my status on gambling on NFL games with how goddamn hard it is to win on the road. This isn't Tom Brady going on the road. This isn't a team with a track record going on the road. It's the Red Rocket, the Ginger Ninja on the road now, expected to win the football game. Sometimes you got to hang your hat on stuff that you say, you know what? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm just going to tell you, listen, I told you all yesterday that the Duke Blue Devils would beat Northwestern. That game stunk to high heaven, and it ruined a lot of people's Saturdays as far as noon was concerned. I think this is going to ruin a lot of people's Sundays. Indy looks like the play in this game. Let's keep it moving, Donnie. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Another game in a dome. We don't have to worry about weather here. 463, 464. New Orleans, a double-digit favorite, 10-point favorite. You can get this number anywhere from 49.5 to 50. If you like the under, you want to look towards Pinnacle, Intertops, and U-Wager. If you like the over, you want to look towards Bet Online and Book. Bet Online and Just Bet. Donnie, where do you start with this one? New Orleans, obviously a very good team at home. They've always been a good team at home. You look at over the course, though, of the last few seasons, though, only 9-8 against the number. A lot of the time they're laying a decent amount of points. It's not always easy, but no Jameis Winston. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in here and is going to be kind of ruling the roost here for Tampa. Some decent weapons. You got Mike Evans. You still have Deshaun Jackson there, O.J. Howard. Some decent players there. But obviously the big story is New Orleans, the offense, the hyper speed, the going quick, the improved defense. Is 10 points a warranted number? It's hard to win by double digits in this league.
Yeah, it seems like you go broke, though, when you have certain matchups, right? Where you can say, you know what? I really think it's a really good thing to bet against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, or I think it's a great idea down in the Dome to bet against Drew Brees. Those two things usually don't make you money, but sometimes there is some points that you have to add up. I mean, it is double digits at this point. And I think, is there any team, Jeff, out there? I mean, we just talked about, Indianapolis and Cincinnati, but outside of that more people are down on than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, which I think is such a buy low number. Do I think they win this football game down in the Orleans way? No, I don't think they win the football game. Do I think they can be competitive? Yes. If they end up getting spanked 42-14 in this game, then I'm going to change my outlook on the season. But I think that the Buccaneers are a much better football team this year than they were last year. They couldn't rush the passer. They went out and remedied that situation, bringing in the Eagles, Vinny Curry, JPP from the Giants. That's going to help them up front. They're already strong, as we know, at defensive tackle. They have some athletic linebackers, but their secondary is a little bit lacking. But hey, Jeff, in the NFL, how do you combat a bad secondary? Get the hell after the quarterback, as you saw last year in the beginning of the season with the Eagles when we thought they had the single worst secondary in the NFL. I think that's going to help today. I don't think they're going to win the football game. 10 is another story, but overall on the season, we talked about the win numbers there at the IFBC or over the summer. I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to hit their win number because I think they're much better than much people think. But again, it's about spots, Jeff. Who wants to go down to New Orleans game one and play in the Dome, especially when you're without your starting quarterback? Not me, but looking at the total in that game, 49, 50 points? Fitzpatrick's great for that. He's going to be boom or bust. He's going to throw interceptions or touchdowns and force the ball to Mike Evans, which is great because that's pass interferences, that's touchdowns, that's interceptions, that's stopping the clock. I would lean on an over here.
Yeah, I agree. That was kind of where I was looking at this one. Also, another big injury, Donnie. I mean, do you remember last year when Brent Grimes was out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They couldn't stop anybody. Brent Grimes at least gives you a bit of a stability in a pretty bad secondary for the most part. Now Vernon Hargreaves is pretty much on an island. I think that the over looks pretty good in this game. I think it's the one high-scoring one, 37-23, 34-23, something like that. I do think also, Donnie, if I had to bet this game, I would take the Saints to cover. I think they win by 14 to 17 points, something like that. A couple comments here. Sean Thompson says Saints by 9. All right. Well, so I guess you should take on the Bucks then. The Saints will start fast. They usually do. Pick Patrick scares me. Yeah, but I think one thing we know he's good for is putting up some points. There should be the ability late to do that. I agree with Donnie. I'm leaning over. Let's keep it flying, Donnie. We go down to our last 1 o'clock game. You get Tennessee heading on the road to take on Miami.
We got 2 of them, right? 2 games left at 1.
No, I think
we got Brady Watson. Jeff, you're gonna forget. How are you gonna forget Brady Watson with the people out there wanting to know?
I'm looking at two different service here. I'm looking at a schedule, and then I'm looking at the odd service. We got Tennessee hosting or heading on the road to take on Miami. Another line that doesn't make a lot of sense, Donnie. Miami's been a favorite pretty much the whole week. You look at currently, they're a favorite at some books. Some books they're pick 'em. Totals at 43.5. Look, you and I both agree the Dolphins are better than people think. I think defensively they're pretty good. I wonder about Tennessee, and the real driving force and why I like the Dolphins here is this number. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. This and the Colts make no sense. Why are Miami a favorite in this game? This something tells me that Miami plays hard. You get Tannehill back finally. You finally have some kind of quarterback. You don't get to deal with Jay Cutler, David Fales. You got some weapons now. Mike Gesicki could be a player that long-term could be the next really good tight end in this league. You got Kenny Stills, guys like that. Does this line stink to you? Because it stinks to me.
Yeah, no, it opened up what? Tennessee was a favorite not too long ago, 1.5, 2 points. Now that line's completely swung to a pick 'em at most outlets out there. Jeff, not expecting to be a ton of scoring, 43.5. Because when you look on paper, don't you just think the Tennessee Titans are a better overall football team? But hey, you're heading down to Miami week 1. What's the one thing we know, Jeff? Late August, early September, playing at 1 o'clock in Miami. It's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. It's the reason why when the Hurricanes play or used to play back in the Orange Bowl, Jeff, the first thing they would announce to teams is how hot it was out and the humidity in the air. That's going to be a problem. Maybe some cramping up for the Tennessee Titans in this one. But you're right. It does look a little bit interesting out there. You got Tannehill finally coming back. Kenyon Drake should be a pretty good running back. The only thing is you're down Devontae Parker at wide receiver. It would have been nice to have another outlet, but they still should be fine out at that range. But look, it's a new regime coming into Tennessee. You're going on the road, and the line stinks week 1 because you would think Tennessee, people think like, you know what? Possibly a playoff contender, maybe fighting for the division title. And Miami Dolphins are an afterthought at this point at what, Jeff? 6.5, somewhere in the 6.5, 7 wins on the football season. But here we are week 1 with the team that's supposed to be marginally better in the Tennessee Titans going down to Miami. And we have a pick 'em up on the board. You're right. Just reading lines, that's a stone cold Dolphins line right there.
And it's interesting too, Donnie. I mean, Miami for kind of as average as they've been, they've won 10 of 15 games at home. It'd be pretty good down there for the most part, and it's something to keep your eye on. I mean, let's be real, Donnie, last year. Were you at all that impressed with Tennessee offense? The offense for Tennessee? I mean, they only averaged about 17.5 points a game on the road. Defensively, they were much different on the road as well.
Yeah, no, I wasn't overly. I think that, the addition of the new regime change in, they're going to bump up that offense. I like the running back change because DeMarco Murray bogged down that offense. He's now gone. So I think they're going to be a little bit better on offense this year. I don't question that. I just think it's, again, sometimes, Jeff, week 1, man, look, we all think we can get to the playoffs. Every team is excited. This isn't the 1-7 Dolphins going, you know what, I'm just ready to collect the paycheck. Everybody thinks they can win. That's indicative of this line down there.
Rob Chambers, it's hot and humid in Tennessee. Yeah, look, I get that. I don't think any of us are trying to use that as a way to pick a game. The only thing that matters in these games are rain and wind. I don't, humidity and heat doesn't matter. I don't, at least I don't think it does. I mean, these are professionals. These are guys that have played football for a long, long, long time. Most of them are athletic monsters. Heat and humidity doesn't bother these people. But I'm looking towards the Dolphins. The line just doesn't make much sense to me. One more 1 o'clock game. Houston at New England. Probably one of the better 1 o'clock games you're going to find. 6.5 for New England. 49 or 50 on a total. You can get anywhere from 49 all the way up to 50. Heritage has 50. I mean, UH is 49.5. A lot of different numbers on the total here. Look, Donnie, I said to you, I think the Texans can go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I think they're that good. I love Deshaun Watson. I love the receivers they have. I love their defense. I think they have a good offensive line, a pretty good run game. I mean, I don't know that there's a ton of issues with this team. You go out and make some nice trades in your defense, bringing in a guy like the Honey Badger. You go out and get Justin Reed in the draft. You got full health with Watt and Clowney. Everybody's healthy here. But, New England is New England. They're at home. I think they're done. I think last year was the last season we're going to see them. This is a big game. I'm one to think that this is too many points. I'm looking towards grabbing it. But, Donnie, how many times have we seen New England under this 7-point number at home? You kind of get goaded in and say, well, Houston can hang with them, and they can't. What do you like here? You're muted.
Muted once again. No, the one thing I'm having a problem with here is Will Fuller being out. As I was saying, he's not the end-all, be-all, but it's a speed weapon that you have on the opposite side of DeAndre Hopkins. What's the one thing that Bill Belichick likes to do each and every week if you're going to play your football team? I'm going to take the single best player you have and try to take him away and let the rest of the team beat us. I'm not so sure, Jeff, that the rest of the team can. Now, if Bill O'Brien is smart, and we all see Watson is back to complete health, that run-pass option and also read option type offense is going to help them move the football, because we always see, maybe New England's not the most athletic defense, and a running quarterback can give them problems. But I just wish they had that other weapon on the opposite side that could sort of take the top off the defense. Because if you run a run pass option out there and take a step back, Jeff, similar to what play action would be, it's nice to have that super deep threat where if you have double coverage or you're rolling the coverage to one side, Will Fuller is fast enough and good enough to get deep and get behind that secondary. They're not going to have that today. And you're right. It's the same thing, Jeff, when you say, you know what? Boy, I really like the Titans in this game. They can really move the football. And then that little devil that sits on your shoulder goes, you're going against Tom Brady and Foxborough, and they only have to win by a touchdown. Isn't that the interesting thing you have to get after here, Jeff? It's tough to get over.
Yeah, it's not a handicapping prop that I want to deal with. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why, for me, if Donnie, I've told this story before. One of the great Philadelphia legends once told me, I asked him for a piece of gambling advice, and he told me, bet on New England. And that was way back, when they were still very good. I've learned if you don't like New England, it's better to just avoid New England.
Yeah.
They're 28-10 over the last 38 games against the spread. And you're right. The angel demon thing's kind of interesting. He's on your shoulder saying, do you really want to bet against Brady at home with Bill O'Brien as the opposing head coach? Yeah, it's a tough one. I do think it maybe have won too many points. I don't think New England could stop anyone. The over looks pretty decent here. I mean, you're going to get, Donnie, some okay weather. I don't think it's raining up in that area.
No.
You have a defense in New England that can't stop anyone. Obviously, Tom Brady will move the ball. A couple comments here on this one. Now, you don't bet against the Golden Boy. I hear you. Miller and Will Fuller will help a lot. Yep. Shout out to Roman Catholic from Will Fuller. Paul T. I think they're done. BMOC, put your money where your mouth is. I'm willing to do that, Paul T. I don't think the New England Patriots get to the Super Bowl. What you want to bet on that? We can have a little friendly wager. I'm into that. Kobe Valentine talking about the Giants are very good this year. I don't know about very good. Donnie, that's a bit of a stretch. They're improved. I don't know how good they are.
But what changed from last year, though? They added Saquon Barkley, and now they go from 3 wins to 10?
But the problem is you do not win in this league without an offensive line. I don't think he's going to be as good as – he'll be a good player, but you got to be able to block. I don't know if they could do that. I totally agree, big man. If you don't like New England, avoid them. That has to be words of wisdom for a lot of people. It's just a point. Let's move on. We got to pick up the pace. Donnie, let me ask you, do you want to hit some of these games now or wait till that halftime show?
No, we'll get through as many as we can. Okay, we got right up till 1 o'clock. We'll sign off. If we missed a couple, we'll hit those games at halftime, and then we can tune up on a couple of these games. Sure.
I think we get through 4 games in 12 minutes. I think we
can do it. Sure.
Kansas City, LA Chargers. LA Chargers 3.5. There are a few threes out there, but you have to lay some juice. 47.5 or 48 on a total. LA, obviously, we know what their mantra is. They come in every season with they can win the Super Bowl. They can go to the playoffs and play well. Here's the fucking truth. They don't ever win anything. They always get injured. There's always a problem. Antonio Gates is back. I mean, Antonio Gates is about as old as Bill Snyder, for Christ's sakes. Look, but you have to be excited. You have a pretty good offensive line. Your boy Phillip Rivers, Donnie, is always very good. You like Melvin Gordon. Pretty good defense as well. Listen, I'm down on the Chiefs. I said it. I don't think this team is that good. I hear a lot of people saying they can go to the playoffs. Look, Patrick Mahomes doesn't fucking fit in that system. I don't think he's going to work. I don't like Big 12 quarterbacks. They don't work. It's just the truth of the matter. I don't like any of their skill position players really, other than, Hill at times is pretty good. And, Kareem Hunt was good, but he fell off towards the end of the season. Defensively, I think they've lost way too much. That hook is bothering me, though. I don't like laying 3.5 in Charger games. I don't like laying anything over 2.5 in Charger games because they play everything close. I don't have much of a read on this game. What do you like here?
It's a tough one there. If you're asking me, Donnie, you got to bet the football game. I'm going to lean on the Chargers here. But the fact is that the Kansas City, are they really going on the road? I mean, look, Kansas City at home has one of the major home field advantages in football. That's not the case where the Chargers are playing today in a small soccer stadium that, keep in mind, probably will have more Kansas City Chiefs fans in the stands than Charger fans, so it will seem like a road game. But you're right. You're going to take look, this isn't Alex Smith going on the road this year saying, you know what, give me Alex Smith, give me Kareem Hunt, give me Andy Reid is going to game plan. They're going to keep this game close, and, maybe the Chargers aren't explosive enough to put us away by 7 to 10 points so we can steal one here. This is different. You're going in there with I still call him a rookie quarterback because I want to see a complete season over Patrick Mahomes. He's big on boom or bust. Now, the one thing that you're going to have, you get a little bit of a reprieve, right? Some injuries in the secondary. A secondary, Jeff, that's a little bit light on experience there. A lot of first, second-year players are going to take the field for them with, hopefully, if you're Andy Reid, you'll be able to game plan for it. But I still lean on saying, you know what? That Chargers offense pretty good, man. Decent offensive line out there. Good running backs, really good wide receivers. And you have that old veteran quarterback out there that you think is not going to make the mistake. Because, again, Jeff, Marcus Peters isn't in there in the secondary. Eric Berry's been banged up out there. Who's the pass rusher that's really good? I mean, an older Justin Houston out there, whatever. I don't think that's going to be the case. If I had to bet this football game, to me, Chargers are nobody. Because I think Patrick Mahomes is more mistake-prone than he's going to need in this football game to actually win it. Because, Jeff, again, hey, look, we don't have to cover 7, right? Right around a field goal. Win this game by 6 points. One of those 26-20 type ball games you get to cover if you're a Charger fan and backer here.
I think a good point made here by Sports for Scott. People underestimate Casey's loss of Peters. He's elite, and now their secondary is below par. You're right.
Yeah,
I mean, your starting cornerbacks of this team are Steven Nelson and Kendall Fuller. Not good enough. I think that's a big problem against Rivers in this offense. Let's move it on here and go down to Dallas, Carolina. Carolina 2.5 or 3, total 42. You can get really any number. I mean, 3 is kind of the prevailing one, though, laying 105 or 110, total 42, like I said. Listen, Donnie, I'm down on Dallas as well. I don't see a ton of talent in this team. You lose, obviously, some real leaders. I mean, I'm not really talking about Dez Bryant, more or less Jason Witten. You lose a guy like Travis Frederick as your center. That's a big loss. I mean, you got a starting left guard who's a rookie in Connor Williams out of Texas. Is Lyle Collins a guy that you could depend on long-term? This is not the same offensive line that we're used to, Donnie. You look at the receivers. What the hell do you have here? I mean, your starting wide receivers, Terrence Williams. Allen Hurns, beat it. Come on. Cole Beasley, a good player, I guess, slot player. You go out and get Tavon Austin, who's the same player. You have no tight end, and you want to run the football. Again, can they run the ball? I'm not a Dak guy, Donnie. I wonder how talented he really is offensively. I think he's a good running quarterback. I wonder how good he is throwing the football. I think if you're the Carolina Panthers, you say, you know what? Beat us. I don't know if we can. We'll stop the run. We'll stop. Beat us with your arm. I don't know if he could do that with this group of receivers. I'm down on the boys this year. Defensively, they're improved. I'll give it to Rob Marinelli. He's got a bit better defense, but a lot of question marks. A young secondary, a middle linebacker area that is really decimated if you lose Sean Lee. Van Der Esch is young. Jalen Smith is young. I don't know that I see it. I like Carolina. They're fast. They're strong. They get some real young talent there. At home here, I'm leaning towards laying the field goal. It looks like a real good play here.
No, I'm with you, Jeff. And look, it might be a square play out there, even though it's 50-50 tickets out there. To me, it just looks like Carolina's too easy in this one. But again, we're asking them to win by a field goal, Jeff. There's some 2.5s that are floating around out there. And you're right. The Dallas Cowboys defensive line should be improved this year. They should be able to get it because Carolina's offensive line isn't a great offensive line. But what do you like, Jeff, if you have a pass rush on the opposite side? Give me the mobile quarterback that can get the hell out of there and has some good weapons that he can hit down the field. They're still going to be able to make plays. They're still going to have McCaffrey in the flat. They're still going to have a decent running game with Anderson at running back. And again, if Olsen, I haven't checked the announcements yet, but I assume that Olsen is going to play in this football game. Let's just say he is a go. That gives you that security blanket out there. I think this game comes down to, Jeff, for me, is who can make the plays? Who do you trust? Do you trust Dak Prescott on the road to make the big play?
Greg Olsen, I think's out, Donnie. I'm trying to find.
I didn't see it. It's not till 4:00. You're not going to have those out until.
I'm looking at. Sorry, he's listed as questionable for tomorrow.
Questionable, yes. I'm gonna since he's questionable, I'm gonna say he's gonna gut it out and play. So let's just say he plays. I just think there's more weapons on Carolina's side, and they're at home. If you're going to say Jason Garrett's gonna have a complete lobotomy and say I'm gonna run the ball 40 times in this game between my backups and Zeke Elliott, I might have a different perspective. But I know Jason Garrett. He's gonna clap on the sidelines a lot. It could be 4th and inches, Jeff, and he'll take a 7-step drop and launch a bomb back there. The clapper on the road is not a good idea. Just give me Carolina to win by a field goal here. Why not?
Yeah, no, it looks like a good one. I wouldn't be surprised if this is not even really close. All right, Olsen's active. Good stuff. Again, I'm trying to do a lot of things at once here. Maybe Donnie, we need like a hot injury report girl or something that we can go to.
That just chimes in. Yeah.
Hey, what do you is this person active? Yes, he is in. We need to get one of those. Carolina looks like a good one here. We'll try to get through 2 more here. Seattle, Denver, Donnie. Denver 3, total 42.5. Listen, Denver, another team, very high on this group. I like Denver. I like the Broncos. I think defensively they are very good. I think they're going to be a team that are really going to give Seattle a lot of problems. Seattle, I wonder. This is another team with limited talent offensively. You have Russell Wilson, great. I mean, good player, great player. But what else do you have? I mean, you have, again, a very limited receiving core, little run game. Defensively, they're a complete shell down of what they once were. I'm excited to see these Griffin brothers, though. That'll be interesting. Earl Thomas coming back. What's his mental state and where's he at? What do you like here? Denver at home, always at 4 o'clock, laying 3. Always a strong play. Always one of my favorite bets to make. That's a tough place to go. I'm looking Denver here. I kind of like both these 3-point numbers, Denver and Carolina.
Look, early season matters, Jeff, here. And what I mean by that is weather and altitude matter. Because why? These guys are pampered. They play like 15 snaps in the preseason. Now you're going to go ask them to play 90 snaps in a regular season football game. You're from Seattle. Usually it's a little bit cooler and rainier. You might get a little bit warmer weather, but you're going to be at a higher altitude. And let's just say this, Jeff. Pretty hard to do a job at a high level when you're not even sure if you're going to be activated on Sunday, a la Earl Thomas, with nobody else to lean on back there as the quarterback of your defense. I think this is a really good spot for Denver. I'm surprised this line is this short. Are we looking at, pass and say Pete Carroll's going to have him ready to go and Russell Wilson's going to run around all day long out there? He's going to be affected by the altitude as well. Can he make miracles happen? Yes, he's made a ton of them over the past 5 to 6 years. There's no question about it, but I just think they're in a bad spot. How do you have you ever watched the tape on the Los Angeles Rams, Jeff, of how they just destroyed the Seattle front line and get after Russell Wilson? That's the same thing you're going to try to get today with Chubb out there and also Von Miller. They're going to heat up the pocket on Russell Wilson and be able to get after him. It's a kind of short line. I even saw it dip to 2, but now you're getting the correction back there. -3, -125, -130s out there. So it looks like the dam's trying to burst there to push that to 3.5. To me, Jeff, I agree. Denver, nobody here.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. You got one of the better defensive lines in the league. Wolf, Miller, Brad Chubb. I mean, that's a good line there. For me, it's Denver or pass here. Final 4 o'clock game. Washington, Arizona. We got to go quick here. 1.5, 43.5, Donnie. I'm out of the win. I'm going with Arizona.
Yep.
I think I think Sam Bradford is good enough. If not, I think Josh Rosen could come in. I like the fact and how this Cardinal team, Donnie, can generate turnovers. They were absolutely fantastic creating turnovers in the preseason. I think that could really translate to the new season here. Donnie, you know who one of the most unheralded defensive players in the league is? Deion Buchanan. What a good player. Just a solid linebacker. Always gives you 100%. I like Reddick. I like Jones and Peters and Golden up front, like Buda Baker in that secondary with Patrick Peterson. I think this is a better team than people think. I think they have a better season. David Johnson, a new extension. I think he has a new lease, a good offensive line. I'm not sold on Alex Smith. He's a game manager. It's a tough trip out there, first game of the season. Give me Arizona at home.
Yeah, sometimes you like to take spots, right, Jeff? New quarterback coming in, and he's going to go out and play on a dome on the West Coast. And again, it factors in where Arizona, you don't think they're going to make the playoffs for the season, but everybody comes in the week one prepared, ready to go. You want to be 1-0 and hit it off on the season in the right direction. I think Sam Bradford, say what you want. He's not injured yet, right, Jeff? So he's going to start. He's going to be adequate enough in that game. And what do the Washington Redskins bring to the table? They lose Geis in the offseason. They try to resurrect Adrian Peterson versus his old team. But I think Arizona has enough on the defensive side of the ball to slow down the Redskins. It's a tough environment to play, and I'm going to lean on Arizona. One of those more unheralded teams, Jeff, that not a lot of people talked about in the offseason. And it's different. If Josh Rosen is in the game today, Jeff, completely different feel for me. Sam Bradford, again, not injured yet. He should be able to step up. I love the line move in this game. It's roughly around a pick 'em all summer long. Now you're seeing the 1s, 1.5, and 2 show up in Arizona's direction. I like them. In the closing line, Jeff, since we only have a minute to go, we like to give out a few plays here. And again, not official plays, but I think you can make a little bit of money on these. One would be 463, 464. I'm going with the over 49.5 in the Saints game. And then I'm going to compound that, Jeff, at 4 o'clock. Let's go with the Arizona Cardinals for me. I'll take them at -2. Those are my 2 plays today for the closing line. I think we can make a little bit of money. Worst case scenario, Jeff, let's go 1-1 and keep it moving. But I like those. How about you?
7 years from now, Donnie, Josh Rosen will be the best quarterback in the NFL. Mark that down. This is a Hall of Famer down the road. I'm telling you. As always, I'm gonna go with 3, Donnie. I'm gonna go Jacksonville, New York, under 42.5. I'm gonna go Carolina -3, and I'm gonna agree with you on Tampa Bay, New Orleans over 49.5. Do like Arizona as well. Should be a fun day. We will be back, guys, at halftime. Okay, Donnie and I coordinate basically right at halftime. It's generally around the same time. We'll jump on here. It's kind of a spontaneous show, but a fun one nonetheless. We'll go over some halftime numbers, see if we could find some value in the second half card. Listen, guys, I want to end this 1 minute. There's nothing better than what we're doing here at this channel. There's no show that just did what we did. None. Zero. Absolutely none. Giving you the 2 opinions here that we're giving you. We're talking weather. We're talking injuries. We're talking picks. We're giving you picks. We're not giving you bullshit. It's straightforward. We got a halftime show. Everybody here at SBR is doing great. We got a lot of good NFL and college coverage. Make sure you join us at halftime. Donnie and I will be back then. Enjoy the 1 o'clock games, guys. We'll see you in a little bit.